What is going on everyone, Nostalgia925 coming at you with another exciting Digimon vs Pokemon video. I must say that I am quite happy about the previous video I made when I made that war declaration. Boy, the reactions were so exciting you have no idea. Many people came with comments telling me that there was a war before and that it should not happen again. Guys, please relax. I am not here to try and destroy a franchise. Why would I try to destroy Pokemon, a series that is part of my childhood? Relax. The comparison we are going to make, I promise you, it's going to be interesting because I want to tackle certain aspects that I feel haven't really been tackled before. And you know, Vigor the Sloth wrote exactly what I planned to do. He wrote the following: Unity through war. Interesting. Well, I am a fan of both series and I definitely would like to see where this goes. Well, yes, it will take an interesting direction, I promise. And here, in this video, we have an amazing subject. I posted the video subject already in the Nostalgia925 community page, and the question was the following: Digimon and Pokemon, which one is the ripoff? Reason why I was inspired to make the video is because of someone named Carlos Blanco. In the war declaration video, he wrote that Digimon is a ripoff of Pokemon. I don't know why, but I found that comment so interesting that I decided to pin it, just to experiment a little. I wanted to know what exactly would happen. And when you look at it now, you will see 112 responses, maybe even more, by either Digimon fans or Pokemon fans, or maybe the fans of both, which to me is more than interesting. And there were very interesting comments such as the following: Pokemon is so bad, it's surpassed by its supposed knockoff now. And there were other interesting counter arguments like the following: who has a card game, a video game selling great, a better cartoon, a better mascot and toys, and has a way better franchise history? Pokemon. All of them are comments so interesting that I could study them for minutes if not hours. Seriously, I invite you all to that war declaration video to see what has been written there. Things are going to be extremely good, trust me on that, as what I initially and still want is first and foremost dialogue between the two communities. It is only like that we can actually bring the different worlds together, but in order to get there we first have to discuss the different aspects. So now, in this video we're going to focus on which franchise is actually the ripoff. But first things first, what does ripoff mean? So to keep things simple, it simply means a copy or an imitation. Well, I would say that the word ripoff is maybe a bit rude than the concept copy. But anyway, in our case, some people might think that either Digimon or Pokemon copied the other, which to be honest is actually quite understandable. Both have kind of similar creatures and both franchises almost have a similar name. The one name is a reference to pocket monsters, and I'm talking about Pokemon, while the other is a reference to digital monsters, meaning Digimon. And here is a comment of Vigor the Sloth that had something extremely interesting to say about the names. He said the following: Digimon is not a ripoff of Pokemon. The only really similar thing between the two were the naming convention. The evolution process was inspired by growing Tamagotchi. The pet monster trend was definitely booming at the time, and while later on there may have been aspects the franchises have borrowed from each other, but calling Digimon a clone would be undermining it entirely. Well, this comment is more than just right, it's perfect. You see, the Tamagotchi virtual pets kind of formed the fundamental basis for the Digimon franchise. Digimon was created in 1997 as a series of virtual pets. And the first Digimon that were designed were meant to look cute, kind of like in the Tamagotchi game. However, unlike the Tamagotchi that was normally trying to attract both genders but was deemed more appropriate for women, the digital monster virtual pet, see this as the ancestor of the Digimon franchise, it was meant to attract a male audience. That is why this first Digimon device that would let you have one of those digital monsters was entirely designed to play and to fight. And later Digimon were created with a harder edged style influenced by American comics. And as most of you would know, some American comics have a rather explosive design. And this gives us a good point of view on what influenced the designs of certain Digimon, without forgetting that their inspiration got bigger as they added more religious aspects, mythological aspects and more of those. Zero Speed wrote the following: wouldn't Digimon be the ripoff because they were originally an extension of Tamagotchi, and don't they even have Digimon who were identical to certain Tamagotchi? I really wanted to reply myself, but I will simply use the comment of Ultra Luchario 91 that gave the perfect answer to this question. Digimon is not a rip-off of Tamagotchi, but a spin-off. There is a difference. And indeed, one must be extremely careful with the concepts that are used to make a point. Trust me when I say that. As a scientist in the making, I experienced it myself that people understood things differently just because I did not use the proper word. To call something a rip-off, if what you say is not based on research, I would say that you'd be using your word in vain. But anyway, let us now take a look at Pokemon and what inspired the creation of the franchise. At least that way we can tell for ourselves whether we can really use the concept rip-off. Pokemon began around the year 1995, 2 years prior to the creation of the Digimon franchise as we know it today, and about 1 year prior to the creation of Tamagotchi, the franchise that ended up becoming the fundamental basis of Digimon. However, I think we could say that the idea of a Pokemon universe began around 1989 with the Pokemon executive director Satoshi Tajiri. In his youth, he grew up in Mashida, Tokyo, an area which at the time maintained a rural atmosphere, and as a child, he enjoyed collecting insects as a hobby. That is why other children called him Dr. Bug. I don't think that he found a problem with that nickname, as he himself wanted to become an entomologist. It is a branch in zoology, a beautiful scientific study of insects even though he never became one. And through times, these rural areas in Tokyo were becoming more and more urban and lands were paved over. The habits for hunting bugs were lost. I guess that it somehow crushed a young Satoshi Tajiri emotionally, to see those green lawns being transformed into an area of buildings and homes and human movement. Obviously that would make the insect population which he loved so much disappear, or at least make them much harder to find. Now what you have to know is that the man, aside of loving insects, he also really loved arcade games as a teenager. His love for it actually made his parents believe that he was a delinquent in the past, even though the only thing he wanted was to spend some more time playing video games. He had this beautiful idea of creating a game that would allow children to have the feeling of catching and collecting creatures, the same as he did in his younger years. And that idea, ladies and gentlemen, was the fundamental idea to the creation of Pokemon. A game that is asking you to explore different areas, may them be urban, rural, rocky, Great Lakes, doesn't matter. You need to explore all these places and come across various creatures that you can catch. Which is also why Pokemon has the known catchphrase, gotta catch 'em all. A very important aspect in Pokemon, if not the most important, aside of the fighting, would be the fact that you have to complete the regional Pokédex by collecting all of the available Pokemon species found in the fictional region where the Pokemon adventure takes place. And in order to complete the national Pokédex, you will need to find your way through the world and by transferring Pokemon from other regions and train those in order to make them evolve into other Pokemon. This kind of makes me believe that secretly, Professor Oak is none other than Satoshi Tajiri, reminding the player what is his or her true purpose aside of finishing the Pokemon League. It is to collect all Pokemon. So by simply looking at what inspired the creation of Pokemon and Digimon, the answer to the question on whether Pokemon or Digimon would be a ripoff of one another is none. Sure, they may share some similarities, but when it comes to ripping off, I think that you always need to look at the history of the franchise, at the audience, at those aspects that is unique to one franchise. Pay attention, that does not mean that certain aspects were not in some way copied from one franchise to the other. Spark Gold wrote the following: lately, Pokemon has used concepts Digimon did first, such as Mega Evolution being the same concept as Digimon's Burst Evolution. Sure, of course, but does that allow us to use a word as big as ripoff? Wouldn't it be the same as saying that Marvel is a ripoff of the DC universe just because some heroes, like for example Deadpool and Deathstroke, are, well, one of them must have copied the other, or maybe better said, one must have inspired the other. But can we call one of them a ripoff? I don't quite think so. Here is another extremely interesting comment of Ethan Downs. I'm not sure if I can say one is a ripoff of the other, as they both have different goals. Pokemon is about one kid's dream to be the best he can at what is essentially a sport, making friends along the way. Growing up and discovering new things about himself and his partners along the way so that he can be the best. Digimon always struck me as more of a battle against evil to save the world, with personal growth being important, but secondary to defeating evil and saving others. Pokemon never really had any pure evil villains like Devimon or Meowthesmon in it, and the fate of the world was never really at stake except for a few movies. Again, the fact that both franchises were created differently, from different ideas, with different purposes, with different fan bases, only proves that there is no such thing as a ripoff, even if certain elements might look similar or copied at best. One thing is sure, both franchises directly or indirectly helped each other to grow to those franchises we love so much today. And that is what Azoa King wrote. Without Pokemon, Digimon wouldn't have to compete and evolve their franchise to be as big as it is now. Hey guys, this is the end of the video. Now that we have an answer, I am extremely curious to explore more of those little aspects between Pokemon and Digimon. I had a whole lot of fun doing research to know more about the differences, and I hope you guys also had as much fun. Please, my friends, do not forget to subscribe and join the Nostalgia95 crew. We are going to explore more aspects either from Digimon or a comparison of Digimon and a particular franchise or a certain mythological creature. Trust me guys, I have planned so much for you. Oh, and don't forget to drop a comment. I mean, as you've all seen, I always love going through your comments and take what I can just to use it as a source to give the videos more credibility, without actually forgetting that it is your comments that is inspiring me to make more content. It is your comments that is guiding this channel into a direction that I absolutely love. So to repeat guys, don't forget to subscribe, don't forget to drop a comment, and if you won't like it, I mean, I'd be happy with a comment, to be honest. And hold tight my friends, because the next video will be there before you know, and it's going to be as interesting.